Hello, greetings. How are you doing? أهلا وسهلا. أهلا وسهلا. أهلا وسهلا. Yes, in case you didn't hear the first two times. How are you doing, man? I love you, man. Welcome. Very nice. Very. Wait, somebody's making noise through my phone. I don't know what's going on. Okay, that was the misunderstanding, of course. Okay, my name is the glorious man. After other glorious people, of course. Well, I mean first, but you know, there's no after other. No problem. I'm after the other one. After the other ones. So my name is Arash. Nice to meet you. Even though I have never seen you, will never see you. So what I want to talk about this time, oh my god, you know, I gotta tell you, man, traveling to America, just realized today I've been fucking living in this country for 16 years now, man. I came here when I was like about 4 or 5 months short of turning 18. And in 2002, and now I'm here. I've been here for 16 years, man. I've been out. I mean, it's not like the whole time, like the whole entire 16 years I've been just stuck here. God forbid, man. Why would you even say that? Yeah, what a horrific, even nightmare. But yeah, and it's amazing how, at least in my particular case, not only I have been immersed in American society, but quite a contrary, I've actually developed quite of a resistance and, how do you say that, basically, you know, opposition. No, it's just funny. Yeah, it's a very interesting country. You know, you have a chance to run into a lot of extreme people, average American who are just typical American, basically, who, for a variety of reasons, they're just so fucking stupid, you know, and mainly it's just because that's what, you know, makes them the most happy. You know, I mean, in a way that is basically it's the most strategic thing to be, you know, the less you know about things that you don't really need to know anyways, the happier you are. The less you think, the happier you are. Why would you want to bother thinking about me? I mean, what kind of psycho are you? I mean, you have already what you want. You know, you can get a job at minimum wage, and I know this is true. I mean, a lot of shit going on in this country. You know, people are nasty. A lot of people, they become employer. They just for a reason so they can abuse other people the way that perhaps they've been abused. Now they're like, oh yeah, I want to do it so I can fuck with other people, basically, you know. And I've seen that because I had these issues myself, unfortunately. Yeah. But, I mean, I've never done it to anybody else, basically, but, you know, the other, whatever. So, how do you say that? But, you know, I mean, I'm so privileged to be able to, at least in my own thought, that I can see what is basically outside the box, and, you know, I'm so privileged and honored to basically being born and growing up in some other part of the world where, you know, you can see things, you have a perspective, and you can see the differences, and you're just like, oh fuck, this is shit. You know, these people are way fucked up, man. They might be fucking 24/7 with some chick or somebody else and feeling so good about it, but they're really, really fucked. I mean, if it weren't for the America's military and financial backing and, you know, tons of immigrants who are selling themselves out here just so they can have a life here, and they become a slave of the system. Basically, they've sold themselves into the system basically just so they can have a life here and a future here for themselves and their, you know, whoever it's their attachments are, their children, their, I don't know, their spouse or their families, whatever. You know, this place is fucked. You know, speaking of basically karma, you know, how do you say that? I think it's easy to think this way. You know, one day the native tribes here, they lost their lives because the isolation of the Americas. They lost their immunity to very typical diseases that they, you know, if anywhere outside the Americas from the old world, basically, if you were born into, you would, throughout the few years of your life, you would, you know, by genetics, basically, or basically you would develop, or you already had immunity against, you know, smallpox and these little things, and all of a sudden they lost a massive of their populations just when the British started giving out their, you know, infected, you know, blankets. You know the story about at night, basically. But and now speaking of the karma, basically, here you are. Americans are so don't know anything. I mean, if you take away these things from them, they just can't do shit. They're so fucking, you know, they've lost any ability to fight. You know, if it weren't for these things that I mentioned, they just have no protection whatsoever. What really the protection they have is that, psychologically speaking, is two things. Number one, desensitization. And basically not caring, being indifferent, become psychotic disorders. Yeah, that's a psychopathic thing, not caring about other people when you see them in pain. You know? And also doing a lot of evil stuff, basically, here or there, that keeps them more or less in a department where they are capable of doing some evil shit if somebody wants to do harm to them, perhaps. Yeah. You have these massive army of people who join the military just so they can go on their endeavors and adventures of killing people off in some war or something, where they get a chance, or do some kind of a horrific things to other people, you know? I never forget it, man. It's the reality of it, you know? I mean, let me speak of myself, you know? When I was growing up in Iran, I remember, I had a friend we used to talk with. I talk with a lot about a lot of issues, basically, more or less. And, you know, we were like, why these youngsters, teenagers, they agreed. You know, like in the war we had, that I want to talk about it, basically. A lot of teenage kids, basically, being 13, 14, that age, basically, they went, well, they were drafted, really, but they were eagerly drafted. They wanted to go to the war, too. They wanted to become a soldier because it was cool, you know. God, you get to hold a machine gun in your hand and go around and, you know, that's like a fucking, you know, the coolest thing ever, right? That's like the most awesome freedom that you can even ever think of, right? You know, and I'm just speaking myself. You know, I was a teenager growing up. My views right now is exactly the other side of spectrum, where, you know, I have total, what's the word for it? I'm totally traumatized by guns, and I'm, I would do anything whatsoever to take just to stay away from anything that comes close to even the concept of the gun. That's something is capable of, causing some kind of damage to people, basically. But, back then when I was growing up, I used to, guns were cool. American movies where there's tons of violence and action. They were prayed into, they were worshipped, It was just like, yeah, I want to be like that cool guy, Terminator, I don't know, whatever, Terminator was like the god of movies. There's a legend, there's a legacy, I was just like, my god, man, that was just, gosh, it was phenomenal, it's like, and now I look back and like, god damn, what a fucking barbaric, or whatever person I was back then, who, actually, I didn't enjoy the killing or anything, or the violence, but it was just like a whole action thing about, these, I don't know, but, for good or bad, I'm just quite of a different side of the spectrum right now. But, how do you say that? No, it's just interesting, everybody's just... This is the main thing that I want to talk about. How people are so uninformed about, not everybody, but a lot of people are in America, about, the history and the reality of America. These things that you should know. You have to know. You can't come up to me and say, oh, I don't know, I didn't know, wow, I didn't know the history, I didn't know this, whoa, I didn't know it's about this. Where do you live, dude? What kind of human are you? I mean, what do you mean? And this is really a all American exclusive thing, man. I mean, I'm not saying it's very, what's the word for it, pervasive throughout the world, and it's inclusive, but more or less, anywhere you go, people might be having some other problems, evilness and a lot of shit, because I've traveled, I've seen people, and devil comes in all colors in all places. It's not an exclusive thing to perhaps Americans or black people, white people, or people from the South, or people from the fucking, rednecks from, I don't know, from middle of fucking nowhere, or the Confederate fucking crap, or, this kind of shit, or people who have guns in their houses, or something. No, it's not just that, It comes in all shapes and colors. By the way, this is a really fucking amazing thing. I want to really say this. Okay, before I want to say this is what I'm saying. It's really not that, like I said, people who don't know, it's that really they don't want to know. They really don't care. It's not too much to try to just know basics about the world, You don't even need to know that. It's really an intuitive thing, You can always, being born perhaps to the smallest and most micro group speaking, typically a family, basically, where you have some parents or some kind of supervision, then going to school, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You can capture these concepts, and all you just have to do, you just have to broaden that concept, and it's something that we do in our head. That's what I'm saying. People know about things. They just like, dude, that's boring, man. That doesn't give me pussy. That doesn't get me a pussy, okay? Now you go around and show up and make a little YouTube video about how to get in a pussy. Shit. All of a sudden that gets fucking 2 million, 20 million views, This is what people want. It's all about pleasure, and entertainment is perhaps the biggest the most profitable industry. Typically, really speaking, Hollywood and American type of entertainment. We're not talking about yeah, well, I mean, you really look at it, I mean, you know, like say even the, you know, the music industry. I mean, you look at the music videos, especially when the female, it doesn't matter if female is a male artist or a female singer or guy, male singer, it's all just bunch of fucking chicks running around with minimal clothes on them. And yeah, coincidentally enough, I know we have problem. This is their freedom. Yes, I know. Yes. And that's what it sells. You know, people want to see that. They like that, and so forth. But going back to what I want to continue saying, which now I forgot. Oh shit, it's too late. My brain doesn't work. Well, maybe it comes back to my head in a bit, but no, you know, I mean, it's just funny because, like, democracy is such a, you know, I had a conversation today with this guy who, he said he's from Colombia originally and he grew up in America basically and so forth, and he said that you know, it's just funny how, you know, it's easy to get people to fall, you know, fall for something. That's so fucking easy, you know. As I always say, you know, the way you get to control people is just either to feed them a little bit or none, or feed them too much. That is how you can control people. They've not even known it. They want to be a part of you. Hey man, can I be part of your gang? Yeah, well, I love you, man. I love you, man. I like you. You know, I want to be part of your gang. Shit, hanging out with you brings a lot of, you know, money and pussy and wealth and a lot of goodies for me. But man, I got one thing for y'all to say. This is what I wanted to say to all those people that were in their own awesome mind. They think they're arguing for the guns and they think they're doing a great job for it. Yeah, you know, like this thing they say, okay, so the reason America is like a free country, yeah, is that, like, you know, basically they have the right to bear the arm and a lot of that shit and so forth, and that's why America is such a great nation and basically community or whatever. You know, like today, this time and date that we're talking about today being May 2002, May 2nd, 2018. You know, right now in this country called Afghanistan, many people, very likely in every household, there's at least one machine gun. Yeah. And look at where fucking Afghanistan is and where America is. Why is it a fucking country like Afghanistan is quite of the other side of the spectrum compared to America, when they have exactly the same kind of a factor that America does? And America, hey man, go fuck yourself, man. That's what I'm trying to say, man. Who are you trying to fuck with, man? This has nothing to do with guns. It has to do with other things that those fucking fathers did, and they try to feed it in your fucking brain that here we're standing today, and supposedly this nation is much better than it could do, yet still compared to other countries is much better than, you know, the other ones. This is all bullshit, man. Come on, man. What kind of fucking idiot you think you are, trying to argue and talk to? Oh man, I mastered all these lessons way back when I was growing up, 16, 17, 18 years old, man. I put all these stages behind. The only reason I'm still talking instead of doing something is because I'm a little fucked. Let me put it this way. No, it's the reality of it, man. I'm fucked. And not your typical fucked. I don't drink, I don't do alcohol. Matter of fact, never done that. It's a whole different ball game. And speaking of it, doesn't make it any better or worse. No. What I'm trying to say really here is that, you're just fooling yourself and consuming yourself into some kind of a lifestyle that you don't know where you're getting yourself. You being indifferent and ignorant of the way that America is destroying yourself in the short run and the long run and the rest of the world. This is what I'm trying to get at. You're having your up time right now. You're like, well, we're doing fine. I don't give a shit what they're doing to them. Who cares, man? And we all speak of love for ourselves and children and family, and things like that. You know what I'm saying? But, the same daddy who is now having a child is also happens to be in some kind of a awesome, he's either a soldier or some kind of a, serviceman in military. And once he gets off of his house duty, you see a whole hell of a different image of this very man. Anyways, all I'm trying to say is that, and I know that you all know this better than me too. You gotta fix this, man. You can't. Because trust me, one day it would just be a problem. It would be just a devastation for you. These are all cycles, and I don't think anybody wants to really go down that road that they're actually just about a fraction of time away from taking the hit, and now you're there and you're like, shit, I didn't know I'm going down this goddamn track and this train, and here I am, and I have nothing to say, anyways, well, I hope people try to rethink their lives. Speaking of this guy I talked to, he was originally from Colombia, and I walked into the store and he started having this conversation with the other couple of black guys. They were sitting at the other table, and he goes like, yeah, man, I used to do a lot of fighting, shit like that, and I realized it's all wrong, and I got to education and stuff like that, and after those people were gone, I sat down and I talked to him, and I said, where are you from? He said, yeah, I'm from Colombia, man, originally. I said, oh, cool, man. And he said, I think if I remember properly, he started going like, he said like, oh man, where you from? I said, well, I'm from Iran, And he said, oh, okay, a lot of bad things going on there over right? I said, where? In Iran? He said, yeah, well, there, the Ayatollahs, what's happening there, man? So they're very corrupt, and, what's happening? I said, well, I said, very simple. Do you know about the 1979 revolution that we had? I said, yeah, I know about that. There was the Shah before him, and he was kicked out, and I said, well, do you know who kicked him out? I said, what, the Americans or the Ayatollahs kicked him out? I said, well, the Americans were the ones who kicked him out. He said, why? Was he becoming corrupt, or was he corrupt? I said, oh shit, it would have been awesome if he were corrupt. For Americans, they love corrupt people. And said, no, bro, that's what it was, is that he was actually started to put in the money and the profit from the oil money into the economy and the people's pocket. And that's what caused them in trouble in their relationship with this, what we call the Great Satan, basically, you know. Yeah, you know, it was getting too up, and Iran was, you know, really booming, and you know, it was becoming a superpower to the extent that a lot of people from America would leave their job, and they would migrate to Iran, and you know, to find a better job and a better life and so forth. It's interesting, you know. We're talking about 40 years ago, 45 years ago. I've actually myself have ran into a lot of people who they would tell me that, oh yeah, of course I remember, yeah, one guy I met when I was in Tbilisi, and started talking and said, oh, I'm from Iran, and you know, I said, and you know, I know he's from America, and he's like, oh, yeah, man, I was there like when I was 5 years old. Yeah, I remember those days. Yeah, but after revolution, I never went there before. You know, I've never been there after the revolution, but I've been there. Yeah, I grew up in Iran. Matter of fact, you know, I was there with my dad. You know, when he was working, and I was there. And I was like, oh, cool. But anyways, it's funny. And how do you say that? So yeah, he kicked him out, and then he goes like, well, what is it with Iran, man? They're crazy, man. They're trying to blow up, what is it? They really want to blow up Israel and shit like that. I said, no, nobody's trying to blow anybody up. The Americans, they're using this propaganda machine basically so that, you know, if one day the Ayatollahs turn against them, and for some reason, you know, they can use this excuse, this very admissible, you know, cause to go after them and try to kick them out and bring another round of, you know, gangs to basically to protect their assets. And stupid, simple ass stuff, you know. It's just funny where, I don't know, people either don't know these things or they know, and they try to act like we don't know. I think that's really what it is, because it's not something that you tell me you don't know. You know, if you live in this world, I don't know how much, I don't care how fucked up you are, you do have some senses, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, I'm getting to the end of my almost 30 minutes recording. There's not much else to talk about anyways, but be cool, man. Be cool. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to other people. You know. Wisdom is a great thing, you know. Try to see things outside the box, basically. That's all I can say. Alright, you all have a good evening.